Many people want to become great at many things in life, but most of the time, they just end up becoming average. To massively level up in an area, not just staying stuck at where you're at, you have to have laser focus on that area, and you have to do it for a long enough time. The question that arises then is, what things are you going to choose and how do you choose them? In this video, I'm going to talk about how one can go about choosing what to focus on in life. Rarely are people going to become great at things by default or luck. Most people are just letting society and other people dictate where their life are going. Suddenly, 5, 10, or 20 years have passed, and you're sitting there with regret over not having worked on the things you knew you should have worked on. You have to take ownership of your life and will your dream life into existence. Some people have a goal and destination in mind. Some have even written them down. And that is a great first step, but it is not enough. How are you going to find a flight ticket if you don't even know where you're starting from? It sounds very obvious with this flight analogy, but most people are either ignoring their starting point or heavily underestimating how important it is to identify and analyze their starting point. In other words, their life situation right now. So let's move on to how to exactly do this. You want to divide your life into a few main areas. Let's say these areas are work, health, relationships with family and close friends, relationships romantically, and lastly, spirituality. Now you can change these areas if you have different values or priorities, or you can make them even more specific, but let's work with these for now. What you want to do is look at these areas almost like stats for your life. And you can identify your starting point by scoring each of these areas from 1 to 10. After doing that, you can start to look at your biggest goals or dream life. Your dream life is also divided into these main areas, and you want to score them here too. And how you do that is to identify what score they need to have for you to be living your dream life. After identifying your dream life and your starting points, now we can start to look at what areas we should focus on. There are a few things you want to take into consideration when deciding what to focus on. The first thing is to look at the area with the biggest gap between your starting point and your dream life. There's only 1 point difference between the starting point and your dream life for 4 main areas, but one area has a 5-point difference. It will probably be much wiser to focus on the area with the biggest point difference. The second thing to consider is the life phase that you're in. And by life phase, I mean if you're just starting college or university, if you're about to finish your degree, if you just started working, or if you've been working for a while. If you just started college, maybe it's more beneficial to focus on your social skills and your social circle. If you're about to finish your degree, it's probably wiser to start focusing on work and business. And if you have worked for a while, maybe it's more beneficial to move your main focus to relationships with your family and close friends. These are just examples, but think about your life phase and which one of the main areas it will be more beneficial to focus on in that phase. Another thing you might want to consider is time frame. Let's look back at the example where one of the areas had a 5-point difference between your starting point and your dream life. How long do you think it will take for you to increase that area by 5 points? Will it take longer than the time frame you considered to give it? Will it take longer than the time frame of the life phase that you're in, which was the period that you considered to focus on it? If it is shorter, then great. But if it's longer, that means that you're not going to be able to complete your mission. It means that you might only increase it by 3 points instead of 5. And this means that you either have to continue to focus on it longer than you initially wanted, or you have to put it aside for now and focus on it in a later period of your life. So this was an example of how time frame can affect your decision in what to focus on. After deciding what you want to focus on, now it's all about execution. And since this thing that we want to focus on is a main thing, a big rock, it's probably going to take years. To make sure that I actually achieve this, I set up my life such that basically everything fuels this main thing. My sleep schedule, my social circle, my finances, is all redirected to this main area. The things that I don't want to sacrifice, like my family, close friends, health, and a few other things, those are areas where I'm going to reduce my effort to the bare minimum to keep them going, or at least to the bare minimum to make them not regress. Everything else is going to be sacrificed, and all the freed up energy that I get from this is going to be fueled into this main area. The last thing that I want to touch upon is complementary areas. It's often very possible to have focus on a main area, but also another complementary area like health and fitness. But I'm going to give a warning about this. A warning about something I often got trapped in, and something I see a lot of people get trapped in. And that is that when you're thinking in your head that you have two main areas that you're focusing on, it's very easy to get sucked into one of these two areas. And what started off as a complementary area now have become a distraction. To give you a practical example of this, I used to look at working out and doing combat sport as a complementary area. And what quickly happened is that I got sucked into these areas. I started to spend more time watching videos on how to optimize my workouts and diet. I started to look into my techniques in combat sport, watching videos, analyzing. So what started off as a complementary area quickly became a distraction. To prevent me from falling into this trap, I've changed the question that I asked myself. The question that I used to ask myself was, how can I optimize my workout and combat sport in the amount of time that I've given myself? And as we've seen, this question just led me to becoming distracted. So the question I ask myself now is, how can I work out and do combat sport such that I optimize my main thing? It's such a subtle distinction, but it have made a huge difference for me in practice. So there you have it, how one can go about choosing a main area to focus on. That is all for this video. And if you enjoyed this, make sure to hit the subscribe button or check out the next video that is linked here. And if you want to get even more self-improvement insights, my free to-do list template, or you just want to get to know me better, join my free newsletter that is linked below.